us about your show.
Okay.
On Syfy.
Well, it's called The Almighty Johnsons, and it's a show that we made in New Zealand over the last 4 years. It's about 4 brothers and a grandfather living in modern-day New Zealand. And my character is the youngest of those 4 brothers, and on my 21st birthday, which is episode 1, I find out the family secret that we're all Norse gods.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fun one.
Yeah, it's fun, and because we're all a bit crap at being Norse gods. All the brothers have known that for years because they're obviously older than 21. So they have these watered down powers, is the best way of putting it. So one of them is like really good at making the room slightly colder, because back in the Norse days he was the god of darkness and cold. One of the other guys was the right-hand man to Odin, who was the god of poetry, this guy Bragi, and so he's really good at talking chicks into bed nowadays, that kind of thing. So all the powers are watered down, and my character, who I discover I am Odin, I have to fulfill the family quest, which is to find a girl, have sex with her, and marry her. And if I do all those things, and well, he thinks it's in that order, we get our powers in full if I succeed in that. But it's a coming-of-age story about a young dude who is finding his way as a man in the world, his place as a man in the world. So the idea of getting married isn't the most enticing. And the other side of that is that if he doesn't succeed in the quest and anything happens to him, then everyone dies. Because
No pressure.
no pressure at all. No pressure at all.
How much time does he have to fulfill this?
Oh, well, 1 is the idea. He just has to find this one girl, which is Frigg, which is in Norse mythology, Odin and Frigg are paired together for eternity. And so he's just got to find the reincarnation somewhere in the world of that girl. So with the help of his brothers, being somewhat helpful, somewhat shit, he eventually does get close to it, is all I'll say.
I'm envisioning the brother who has the power to seduce women, seducing her.
Well, I was going to say, he seduces girls for Axel.
Oh, okay. So he's
Is that what I thought you were going to say? Yeah, so he's helpful, but in the wrong ways. Axel's a sensitive guy who's not in the world to just have sex with people. So the brother that is in the world to just have sex with people kind of pressures Axel a lot. And there's a lot of comedy in it. It's a comedy first and foremost, drama second. And so in terms of the story that it tells, it doesn't take itself too seriously. And it's really, really well balanced with science fiction and the real world.
Where do you film the show?
In New Zealand. So it's all been filmed in New Zealand, yeah. We use some of the landscape of New Zealand, but also a lot of sets that we've had built for the last 3.5 years in New Zealand.
And you've got 4 series in the can already?
We've got 3 in the can already,
Okay.
and no one knows the fate of the show at this point, but I particularly am very, very satisfied with where we've left it. Yeah.
Sounds great. Yeah. What's it like being a Norse god?
It's pretty damn cool. It was my first ever TV show, and so being the lead of that, being chucked into the deep end of trying to carry a show, it was kind of like Axel being chucked in the deep end of trying to carry an entire family that might die if he does anything wrong. So it was a very high pressure situation for me and him, but in terms of being able to do cool shit and run around naked on set and be paid for that, pretty exciting.
And you had to have some extreme workout regimen for a Norse god?
I wish I could say I did, but no, I didn't. No, I think it's more humorous having some reasonably lanky, white boy running around a set all day. So I didn't do too much work. Axel was a 20-year-old who hadn't done that work himself, so I didn't need to anyway.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's an easy way out, right? Yeah.
I have to just ask, so he finds out at 21. Has he
Yes.
had the powers the whole time?
No.
But,
So
okay.
there's a ceremony which is in the first episode.
All right.
There's a ceremony in the forest, which is where the nudity comes in. In that forest, you'll have to see it to really believe it, but in that moment he is very much convinced that his family are Norse gods. And watch the first episode on July the 11th to find out what I'm talking about right now.
Fantastic. It sounds
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to make. My pleasure. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
The silver
Thank you very much.